The snow fell in thick, suffocating sheets against the taxi window, each flake a tiny executioner sealing my fate. I pressed my forehead against the cold glass, watching the Christmas lights blur into watercolor streaks of red and green as we pulled away from the house. No, not my house anymore. Never my house. The Victorian mansion grew smaller in the rear window, its warm, golden glow mocking me. Every lit window a reminder of the family inside who'd just thrown me out like yesterday's trash. My phone buzzed in my trembling hands. Another text from Diana, my mother-in-law. "Don't bother coming back. You're not family. You never were." I tasted salt before I realized I was crying. "Where to, miss?" The driver's voice cut through my fog of misery. "Where to?" I had nowhere. My apartment was gone, sold when I'd moved into the Harrison estate 6 months ago, pregnant and stupidly hopeful. My parents were dead. My friends had slowly disappeared, absorbed into Marcus's world of country clubs and charity galas where I'd never quite fit. I was a waitress who'd accidentally gotten pregnant by a stockbroker's son, and his family had made sure I knew it every single day. "Just drive," I whispered, clutching my single suitcase. They hadn't even let me pack properly. Diana had stood in the doorway of what used to be my bedroom, arms crossed, her pearls catching the light like teeth. "You have 20 minutes. 20 minutes to pack up 6 months of my life. 20 minutes after they'd cornered me in the kitchen. Marcus standing silent while his mother did the talking. The pregnancy test had been negative. Again. 3 months of trying, of desperate hoping, of Marcus's disappointed sighs. And then Diana's cold pronouncement. "You're clearly infertile. Marcus deserves better. Someone from his own world who can give him children." The fact that I'd miscarried their grandchild at 8 weeks, alone, bleeding in a bathroom while they were at a Christmas party, didn't matter. I was defective, disposable. "Miss?" The driver's eyes found mine in the rearview mirror. "I need an address." My fingers moved automatically, scrolling through my contacts. Sarah. No, she was Marcus's college friend first. Jennifer. Worked for Harrison Investments. My thumb hovered over Emma's name. My last real friend. But she was spending Christmas in Vermont with her fiancé's family. The cold seeped through my thin coat. I had $43 in my wallet. My credit card was linked to Marcus's account. They'd probably already frozen it. I needed help. I needed someone who didn't know the Harrisons, who wouldn't judge, who might just care. I scrolled to a number I'd saved weeks ago. Danny Martinez, the contractor who'd renovated the Harrisons' pool house over the summer. He'd been kind, always greeting me when others looked through me like glass. We'd talked a few times, small conversations about music, about his daughter, about nothing important. He'd given me his number once, casual, friendly. "If you ever need anything, even just to talk." I hadn't called. It would have been inappropriate, but now... My vision blurred with fresh tears as I typed, "Danny, I know this is sudden, but I'm in trouble. I got kicked out and have nowhere to go. Please, I need help, even just for tonight. I'm so sorry to ask." I hit send before I could overthink it. The driver was getting impatient. "Lady, I can't just keep the meter running." 5 more minutes, I begged. "Please." The phone buzzed. Relief flooded through me, warm and desperate. "Address?" Thank God. I typed quickly. "I'm in a taxi near the Harrison estate in Riverside. I can meet you anywhere." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Send your location. My driver will collect you. Don't move. Driver." That was oddly formal, but maybe Danny was working late, at a job site. I fumbled with my phone's location services and sent my PIN. The taxi had pulled into a 24-hour diner's parking lot, the neon sign buzzing, "Rosie's Eats." "I'll wait here," I told the driver, paying him with most of my cash. My hands shook as I counted out the bills. Inside the diner, the warmth hit me like a wall, the smell of coffee and grease, the clatter of dishes, the tired waitress behind the counter. It was familiar. Real. I'd worked in a place just like this before Marcus, before the Harrisons had tried to sand away all my rough edges and remake me into something acceptable. I slid into a booth by the window, ordering a coffee I couldn't afford with my last few dollars. The clock above the counter read 9:47 p.m., Christmas Eve. Families were home, tucked safe in their warm houses, opening presents, laughing. I was alone in a diner, waiting for a near stranger to rescue me because I had no one else. The coffee arrived, bitter and scalding. I wrapped my hands around the cup, letting it burn. 20 minutes passed, then 30. Maybe Danny had changed his mind. Maybe he'd realized how pathetic this was. Headlights swept across the diner windows. Not a truck like I'd expected, but a black Mercedes SUV. The kind with tinted windows and chrome that caught the streetlights like knives. It pulled up directly in front, idling, exhaust curling into the snowy air. The door opened. A man stepped out, and my breath caught. This wasn't Danny Martinez. He was tall, 6'3" at least, wearing a charcoal overcoat that probably cost more than my entire year's salary. Dark hair, slightly too long, pushed back from a face that could have been carved from marble. All sharp angles and aristocratic features that belonged on Roman coins. But it was his eyes that stopped me. Even from here, through the window, I could see them. Dark, calculating, absolutely predatory. He scanned the diner with the precision of someone who assessed threats the way other people breathed. His gaze locked onto me through the glass, and something in my chest tightened. Recognition? No. Something else. Something that made the hair on my arm stand up. He moved toward the entrance with liquid grace, and that's when I noticed the second man. Bigger, broader, scanning the parking lot with a hand near his jacket in a way that suggested a weapon. A bodyguard. What kind of contractor needed a bodyguard? The door opened with a cheerful jingle that felt obscene given the sudden tension crackling in the air. The man in the overcoat entered, bringing with him the scent of expensive cologne, bergamot, and something darker, like smoke and secrets. Every person in the diner looked up. The waitress's smile faltered. The cook visible through the kitchen window went still. He walked straight to my booth. Elena Reyes? His voice was silk over steel, accented with something European, Italian maybe. Definitely not Danny's working-class Boston drawl. My mouth had gone dry. There's been a mistake. I was waiting for... You texted this number. He pulled out a phone. Not the cheap smartphone I'd expected, but something sleek, and probably custom. You said you needed help. I stared at the screen he showed me, my messages. My desperate plea for help. But the contact name above them didn't say Danny Martinez. It said D. Marchetti. Oh God, no. I'm so sorry, I stammered, my face burning. I grabbed the wrong number. I didn't mean... I'll just go... I started to slide out of the booth, grabbing my suitcase. His hand came down on the table, not touching me, but blocking my exit. I froze. Up close, he was even more intimidating, the kind of handsome that was almost frightening, made more so by the absolute authority in every line of his body. You're alone, he observed, those dark eyes traveling over me with unnerving precision. On Christmas Eve, with one suitcase and tears on your face. He tilted his head slightly. Where were you planning to go, Elena? How did he know my full name? I'd only signed the text with my first, I don't know you, I whispered. How do you have my number? Something flickered in his expression. Not quite a smile, but close. You gave it to me, 3 months ago, at the Riverside Children's Hospital charity gala. My mind raced back. The gala. I'd gone with Marcus, spent the whole night feeling out of place in a borrowed dress. I'd escaped to the balcony at one point, overwhelmed, and there'd been a man. We'd talked for maybe 10 minutes. He'd been charming, intense, had asked questions about my work at the hospital where I'd been volunteering. I'd mentioned I was trying to get funding for the pediatric wing. A week later, the hospital had received an anonymous donation of $2 million. You, I breathed. Me, he confirmed. His eyes hadn't left my face. And now you need help. It was an accident. A wrong number. I should what? He leaned back slightly, studying me like I was a puzzle he intended to solve. Go back out into the snow with nowhere to stay? With his gaze dropped to my suitcase. Clearly no resources. Shame burned through me. That's not your problem. No, he agreed. It isn't. The silence stretched. He should leave. I should apologize again, call an actual friend, figure something out. Instead, we sat there, the diner sounds fading into white noise around us. However, he continued, his voice dropping lower, I'm making it my problem. Why? The word came out before I could stop it. His smile was slow, dangerous. Because you asked for help, Elena. And I find I'm curious about why a woman I met once, who works with sick children and blushes when nervous, is sitting alone in a diner on Christmas Eve looking like her world just ended. You don't know me. No, he said softly. But I'd like to. Warning bells screamed in my head. This man, whoever D. Marchetti really was, radiated danger the way the sun radiated heat. The bodyguard, the expensive car, the way everyone in the diner was carefully not looking at us while obviously listening to every word. But I was so tired, so cold, so desperately alone. I can't pay you back, I said quietly. Whatever help costs. I have nothing. I'm not asking for payment. He stood, buttoning his overcoat with movements that were almost hypnotic in their precision. My driver is outside. You can come with me, or you can stay here. But decide now, Elena. I don't make offers twice. This was insane. Going with a stranger, a clearly dangerous stranger, into the night. Everything I'd ever been taught screamed at me to refuse, but what choice did I have? I looked at my suitcase, at my empty coffee cup, at the reflection of myself in the window. Pale, lost, alone. Okay, I whispered. His expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. Satisfaction? Triumph? I couldn't tell. He offered his hand. I stared at it. Strong, elegant, with a platinum ring on his right index finger engraved with what looked like a family crest. I took it. His skin was warm, his grip firm but careful, like he was very aware of his own strength. He pulled me to my feet with effortless ease, and suddenly I was standing too close, my head barely reaching his shoulder, drowning in that scent of bergamot and smoke. Let's go, he murmured. The bodyguard materialized at the door, taking my suitcase before I could protest. The waitress wouldn't meet my eyes as we passed. Outside, the cold hit me like a slap, but Marchetti's hand was on my lower back, guiding me to the SUV where the driver already had the door open. The interior was warm, leather seats soft as butter. Marchetti slid in beside me, and the door closed with an expensive thunk that sounded like a vault ceiling. As the SUV pulled away from the diner, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the tinted window. I looked small, fragile, completely out of my depth. Where are we going? I asked, my voice barely audible. Marchetti was typing something on his phone, his fingers moving with practiced speed. Without looking up, he answered, somewhere safe. That's not an answer. It's the only answer you need right now. He finally looked at me, and in the dim interior light, his eyes were almost black. You're exhausted, Elena. When we arrive, you'll eat, rest, and tomorrow we'll discuss your situation. My situation, I repeated numbly. Your homelessness. Your apparent estrangement from whoever owned that mansion. Your next steps. He returned to his phone. But tonight, you're under my protection. Nothing will harm you. Under his protection. The phrase should have comforted me. Instead, it felt like a claim, a brand. I'd escaped one gilded cage only to walk directly into another. The city lights blurred past the windows. I had no idea where we were going. Didn't know who this man really was, what he wanted, why he'd really come for a stranger's desperate text. I should have been terrified, but as the warmth of the car seeped into my frozen bones, as exhaustion pulled at me like a riptide, I found I was too numb to care. I'd asked for help. I'd gotten Dominic Marchetti instead. God help me. The SUV glided through streets I didn't recognize, leaving the familiar neighborhoods behind. I watched the city transform through the tinted windows, from suburban comfort to urban density, then into an area where the buildings grew taller, more imposing, their architecture speaking of old money and older power. We crossed a bridge, the river below black and restless, reflecting the city lights like scattered diamonds. Marchetti hadn't spoken since his last pronouncement. He sat with his phone, occasionally typing, his face illuminated by the blue glow. I studied him in stolen glances, the strong line of his jaw, the way his dark hair fell slightly across his forehead, the absolute stillness with which he held himself. Marcus had always been in motion, fidgeting, tapping his feet. This man existed in complete control, every movement deliberate, economical. The bodyguard in the front passenger seat, built like a wall, with a shaved head and a scar bisecting his left eyebrow, murmured something in Italian to the driver. Marchetti responded without looking up, his tone casual but edged with authority that made both men straighten slightly. "Do you speak Italian?" I blurted out, immediately regretting breaking the silence. His eyes lifted from the screen. "Among other languages, you speak Spanish? My father was from Mexico. He taught me before—" I stopped. "Before he died. Before the drunk driver on a rainy Tuesday stole him from us. Yes. Reyes," he mused, as if tasting my last name. "Your mother?" "Irish. Flynn." I twisted my fingers in my lap. "She passed when I was 19. Cancer." "I'm sorry." The words were conventional, but something in his tone suggested he understood loss in a way most people didn't. "No siblings?" "No, just me." The loneliness of that statement hit fresh. "What about you? Do you have family?" A shadow crossed his face. "I have obligations. It's not quite the same thing." Before I could ask what that meant, the SUV turned through tall iron gates that opened as if expecting us. My breath caught. We were entering an estate, not like the Harrisons' showy Victorian mansion, but something else entirely. The driveway curved through manicured grounds dusted with snow, leading to a modern structure of glass and steel and stone that seemed to grow from the hillside itself. Lights glowed from within, warm against the cold night, and I could see the city sprawling below us like a carpet of stars. "You live here?" The question came out strangled. "One of my properties." He said it like other people said they owned a Honda. "I prefer it for privacy." The car stopped beneath a portico. The driver emerged first, opening my door while the bodyguard retrieved my pathetic single suitcase from the trunk. I stepped out onto heated stone, even the driveway was warmed, and stared up at the house. No, not a house. A fortress made beautiful. Marchetti appeared at my elbow. "Come." The front door opened before we reached it. An older woman stood there, silver-haired and elegant in a dark dress, her posture military straight. She spoke rapidly in Italian, her eyes flicking to me with undisguised curiosity. Marchetti responded, then switched to English. "Elena, this is Gabriella. She manages my household. Gabriella, Miss Reyes will be staying with us. Please prepare the blue guest suite." "Of course, Signor Marchetti." Gabriella's English was heavily accented but perfect. Her gaze swept over me, taking in my tear-stained face, my rumpled coat, my obvious distress, and something softened in her expression. "Benvenuta, signorina. Welcome." The interior stole what remained of my breath. Soaring ceilings, walls of windows overlooking the city, contemporary art that even I recognized as museum quality. But it wasn't cold, like modern spaces often were. There was warmth here. Leather furniture that looked lived in, thick rugs, a fireplace with actual flames dancing. "I'll have dinner brought to your room," Marchetti said, already moving toward a hallway. "You need rest more than—" "No." The word surprised us both. I cleared my throat. "I mean, if it's not too much trouble, I'd rather not be alone right now." He studied me for a long moment, and I fought the urge to look away from that penetrating stare. Finally, he nodded. "The dining room, then. 20 minutes. Gabriella will show you where to freshen up." He disappeared down the hallway, the bodyguard following like a shadow. I stood there, lost, until Gabriella's gentle hand touched my arm. "Come, Kara. Let me show you to your room. You can wash, change if you like." Her eyes crinkled kindly. "Everything will look better after food and rest, see?" I followed her up a floating staircase made of wood and steel, down a hallway lined with photographs I didn't have time to examine. She opened a door onto a suite that was larger than my entire former apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a bed that could sleep 4, a bathroom visible through an open door that gleamed with marble and chrome. "The closet has some things that might fit," Gabriella said, opening doors to reveal shelves stocked with women's clothing in various sizes, all with tags still attached. At my shocked expression, she shrugged. Signor Marchetti sometimes has guests. He likes to be prepared. Female guests. Of course. A man who looked like that, with this kind of wealth. Your suitcase will be brought up, she continued. Take your time. When you're ready, come back downstairs and I'll show you to the dining room. She paused at the door. He's a good man, Signorina. Dangerous, see, but good. You're safe here. Dangerous. The confirmation of what I'd already sensed sent a chill through me. Dangerous how? But Gabriella just smiled sadly and closed the door. I stood in the center of the suite, surrounded by luxury I'd never imagined, and felt more lost than ever. Who was Dominic Marchetti? What had I stumbled into? The house, the guards, Gabriella's warning. It all pointed to something far beyond a successful businessman. My suitcase arrived, delivered by a young man who knocked softly and left it inside the door without meeting my eyes. I washed my face in the bathroom, using water from a faucet that probably cost more than my car had. My reflection looked haggard, eyes red, skin pale, hair a mess from the wind and snow. I changed into the only decent dress I'd packed, a simple navy blue sheath that Diana had always hated because it was common. My hands shook as I zipped it up. What was I doing here? I should call someone, tell them where I was. But who? And what would I say? I accidentally texted a mysterious millionaire and now I'm in his mansion. The absurdity almost made me laugh. Almost. I found my way back downstairs, following the sound of voices. The dining room was smaller than I expected, intimate, with a table that could seat 12, but was set for 2 at one end. Marchetti stood by the windows, now in a black dress shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms corded with muscle. He was speaking into a phone, his voice low and sharp. I don't care what Leonardi thinks. The shipment goes through Rotterdam or not at all. Tell him he noticed me, and his tone changed instantly. I'll call you back. He ended the call. Elena, please, sit. I took the chair he indicated, and he sat across from me, close enough that I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could smell that bergamot cologne. The table setting was elegant, crystal, silver, linen napkins folded into perfect triangles. Gabriella appeared with wine, pouring rich red into both our glasses. Then came food. Pasta in a cream sauce with mushrooms, salad, bread still warm from the oven. My stomach growled audibly. Eat, Marchetti commanded gently. You look ready to collapse. I didn't need to be told twice. The first bite was heaven, rich, perfectly seasoned, nothing like the bland country club food I'd endured at the Harrisons. I ate with embarrassing enthusiasm, suddenly ravenous. He ate too, but I felt his eyes on me, watching, assessing. Better? He asked, after I'd made a significant dent in the pasta. Much. Thank you. I took a sip of wine. It was probably expensive, but I couldn't taste the difference. I should explain. About tonight. About the text. You don't owe me explanations. I do, though. You came to help a stranger based on a wrong number. That's... I struggled for words. Incredibly kind, or incredibly stupid. I haven't decided which. His mouth quirked. Almost a smile. Perhaps both. Tell me about the mansion, the people who threw you out. So I did. It spilled out. Meeting Marcus at the hospital where I volunteered. Our brief romance, the pregnancy. His family's reluctant acceptance contingent on marriage and grandchildren. The miscarriage I'd hidden because I'd been too ashamed, too afraid of their rejection. The months of trying to fit into their world, reshaping myself into something acceptable. Tonight's cold dismissal when my body had failed to perform its expected function. Marchetti listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When I finished, silence filled the space between us. You were discarded, he said finally, like a broken tool. The bluntness of it stung. Yes, I suppose so. And this, Marcus, he allowed it? He didn't argue with his mother. He never argued with her. I twisted my napkin. I think he was relieved, actually. I wasn't what he wanted. I was just... convenient. Until I wasn't. Convenient. Marchetti's voice had gone cold. You speak of yourself as if you're an object. That's how they saw me. That's not what I asked. He leaned forward slightly. How do you see yourself, Elena? No one had ever asked me that. Not Marcus, not his family, not even my friends. I opened my mouth, closed it. How did I see myself? I don't know anymore, I whispered. Something flickered in his eyes. Anger, maybe, or recognition. Then we'll have to remind you. We? The word came out shaky. You're here now, under my roof. That makes you my responsibility. He said it with such finality, such authority, that I didn't know how to respond. Tomorrow, we'll retrieve your belongings from… Where did you work? Mercy General Hospital. I was a volunteer coordinator, but I also worked in the cafe part-time. Past tense. I'd probably lost both positions by now. The Harrisons wanted me to quit the cafe, said it was beneath their family, but I needed something that was mine, wise. He refilled my wine glass. And your apartment that you sold? Gave up the lease. I didn't have much anyway. It was a studio. Everything fit in my car, which I also sold because Diana said we didn't need 2 cars, and Marcus's BMW was sufficient. Saying it aloud, hearing how thoroughly I'd erased my own independence, made my cheeks burn with shame. I see. His jaw tightened. And now you have 1 suitcase and $40. 43, I corrected automatically, then wanted to sink through the floor. Sorry, that was accurate. His eyes held mine. I appreciate accuracy, Elena. Don't apologize for it. He stood abruptly. Come with me. There's something I want to show you. I followed him through the house to a room I hadn't seen before, a library with walls of books reaching to the ceiling, leather chairs, another fireplace. But he led me to the windows, to the view of the city spread below us. What do you see? He asked. Lights. Buildings. The city. Look closer. I did. From this height, I could see patterns. The grid of streets, the clusters of neighborhoods, the way some areas blazed with light while others remained dark, the river cutting through like a black vein. Every light down there represents a life, Marchetti said quietly. A person making choices, fighting battles, surviving. Some thrive. Some merely endure. Some are crushed by circumstances or by other people's cruelty. He turned to me. Which one are you, Elena? I don't. Which one do you want to be? The question hung between us, heavy with implication. I thought about the girl I'd been before Marcus. Independent, working 2 jobs to make rent, volunteering because it mattered, not because it looked good on a society page. When had I lost her? I want to thrive, I said, surprised by the strength in my voice. I want to matter. Good. He was standing very close now, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. Then starting tomorrow, you rebuild. New job, new life, new Elena, but stronger this time, unbreakable. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. His hand came up, and for a breathless moment I thought he might touch my face, but he simply gestured to the city. I have resources, connections. I can help you stand on your own feet again. If you'll let me. Why? The question I'd asked before, asked again. Why do you care about a stranger's problems? His expression shifted, became almost vulnerable, because 3 months ago, a woman in a borrowed dress who didn't belong at that gala came outside and talked to me like I was human. Not a name or a reputation or a use. Just a person. He paused. Do you know how rare that is, Elena? I shook my head, mesmerized by the intensity in his eyes. Very rare. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. You saw me and didn't flinch, didn't calculate what you could gain. You just talked. About children who needed help, about your dreams for the hospital wing, about everything except yourself. A ghost of a smile. I found it refreshing. I still don't understand why that means. I collect beautiful things, he interrupted. Art, books, people sometimes. Not to own them, but to protect them. To give them space to become what they should be. His gaze held mine. You're beautiful, Elena. Not just physically, though you are, but in the way you care, the way you persist despite being beaten down. I want to protect that, help it flourish. My heart was pounding so hard I was sure he could hear it. This was insane. Men like Dominic Marchetti, wealthy, powerful, dangerous, didn't rescue random women out of altruism. There had to be a price. There was always a price, but I was so tired of being afraid. So tired of being small. "Okay," I breathed. "Help me, please." Triumph flashed across his face, quickly masked, then it settled. "Tomorrow we begin." He checked his watch. Platinum, probably worth more than a year of my salary. "For tonight, sleep. Gabriella will show you back to your room." As if summoned, Gabriella appeared in the doorway. "Come, Kara. Let me show you how everything works." I followed her, but looked back once. Marchetti stood by the window, silhouetted against the city lights, and for a moment he looked almost lonely. Powerful. Yes. Dangerous, definitely, but lonely. The blue suite felt less foreign when I returned to it. Gabriella showed me the controls for the lights, the heated floors, the built-in sound system. She left fresh towels and a silk nightgown that felt like water against my skin. "If you need anything, press this button." She indicated an intercom panel. "Someone will come. Always." When she left, I stood in the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. The same face, but something had shifted. In my eyes, maybe. A spark of something I'd thought the Harrisons had extinguished. I showered, letting the hot water wash away the day's humiliation, and slipped into the silk nightgown. The bed was impossibly soft, the sheets crisp and cool. I should have felt uncomfortable sleeping in a stranger's house, in his expensive bed, wearing his provided clothes. Instead, for the first time in months, I felt safe. I was drifting toward sleep when my phone buzzed. "Marcus. Mother told me what happened. I'm sorry. I'll send you some money. Where should I wire it?" "Too little. Too late." I deleted the message without responding. Another buzz. Unknown number. "Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow, everything changes." Marchetti. He had my number. Of course he did. I'd texted him first. But seeing those words on my screen, knowing he was somewhere in this house, thinking of me, I should have felt threatened, trapped. Instead, I felt anticipated, valued, claimed. I pulled the covers up to my chin and closed my eyes, and for the first time in a year, I smiled as I fell asleep. Outside my window, the city glittered like a promise, and somewhere in the house, I knew Dominic Marchetti was watching over his unexpected acquisition with the focus of a man who never let valuable things slip away. Morning came with pale winter light, filtering through sheer curtains I didn't remember closing. For a moment, I forgot where I was. The bed too soft, the room too quiet, the sheets too expensive against my skin. Then memory crashed back. The Harrisons. The text. Marchetti. I sat up, disoriented. A clock on the nightstand read 9:47 a.m. I never slept this late. The Harrisons had expected me at breakfast by 7, perfectly dressed and smiling, ready to serve Diana's carefully planned meals, while she critiqued everything from my posture to my choice of earrings. A soft knock interrupted my spiraling thoughts. "Signorina, are you awake?" Gabriella's voice gentle through the door. "Yes, come in." She entered carrying a tray, coffee, fresh fruit, pastries that smelled like heaven. "Buongiorno. Signor Marchetti thought you might prefer breakfast in your room this morning. He had to attend to business but left instructions for you." Instructions. The word should have rankled, but I was too distracted by the coffee. Real espresso, rich and dark. I took a sip and nearly moaned. Gabriella smiled. "Good, see? The signor is particular about his coffee." She set the tray across my lap. "When you're ready, come downstairs. Antonio will drive you to collect your things from the hospital. Signor Marchetti has made arrangements." "What kind of arrangements?" "You'll see." Her eyes crinkled mysteriously. "Wear something comfortable. And Cara? Don't be nervous. The signor, he is intense, see? But he keeps his word. If he says he will help you, he will help you." After she left, I ate slowly, trying to process. Marchetti was already making moves, taking control. Part of me bristled at it. I'd just escaped one controlling situation. But another part, the exhausted part that had been making all the decisions alone for so long, felt relief at someone else taking charge. I dressed in jeans and a sweater from my suitcase, tied my hair back, applied minimal makeup to hide the shadows under my eyes. When I came downstairs, Antonio, the driver from last night, waited by the door. Up close, he was even more imposing. 6'4", shoulders like a linebacker, hands that looked like they could crush stone. Miss Reyes. His accent was thick, Italian rolling off his tongue. The car's ready. The SUV was already warm, classical music playing softly from hidden speakers. We drove in silence through the city, and I watched the neighborhoods change again, from Marchetti's exclusive hillside to the working-class area where Mercy General Hospital stood, its brick facade familiar and comforting. But when we pulled up, there was nothing familiar about the scene. A moving truck sat in the staff parking lot. 2 men in uniforms waited by the employee entrance, and standing near the door, arms crossed, face thunderous, was my former supervisor, Linda. Antonio opened my door. "The signor arranged for your belongings to be packed. You need only supervise and ensure everything is collected." "He what?" I stared at the truck. How did he even— Signor Marchetti is very thorough. Antonio's expression remained neutral. "He made calls this morning. Everything is approved." I walked toward Linda on shaky legs. She looked me up and down, her mouth tight. "Elena, I got a call at 7 a.m. from the hospital administrator. Apparently, a Dominic Marchetti made a very generous donation to the pediatric wing, the one you'd been proposing for months, contingent on us providing you full access to collect your belongings and a glowing letter of recommendation." Her voice dripped with barely concealed fury. "Care to explain how you managed that?" My mind reeled. He'd donated to the hospital. For me. To smooth my exit. Mr. Marchetti is helping me transition to a new position, I managed. Must be some position. Linda's eyes narrowed. "The donation was $500,000, Elena. What exactly did you do to earn that kind of favor?" The insinuation burned. "Nothing that's any of your business." "Watch your tone." "I don't work here anymore, Linda. You have no authority over me." The words came out stronger than I felt. "I'm here to collect my things, either help or get out of my way." Her face flushed red, but she stepped aside. The movers followed me to my old office, a closet-sized space near the volunteer coordinator's desk. I'd had so little here. A coffee mug, some photos, files on the volunteer programs I'd built from nothing. The movers packed it efficiently while Linda watched, seething. "You'll regret this," she hissed as I signed the final form. "Men like Marchetti don't do favors without expecting something in return. Whatever he wants from you, it won't be worth it." I met her gaze squarely. Maybe not. But at least he sees me as valuable enough to invest in. That's more than anyone here ever did. I walked out with my head high, even as my hands shook. The movers loaded everything into the truck, which wasn't much, barely filling a corner of the cargo space. Antonio held the SUV door open for me, and I slid inside, breathing hard. "Where to now, Miss Reyes?" he asked. I don't know. The signor suggested shopping. He thought you might need clothes, necessities. Antonio pulled out a black credit card. "He asked me to give you this, no limit." I stared at the card like it might bite me. "I can't accept that. With respect, miss, the signor anticipated you would say this. He asked me to tell you, consider it a loan if you prefer. But you need clothes for interviews, professional attire. Let him help." Antonio's stern face softened slightly. He is not a man who offers help lightly. To refuse is to insult him. Trapped. Neatly, efficiently trapped. But was it really a trap if I could leave any time? If I could say no? Except I couldn't, could I? I had nowhere else to go. "Fine," I whispered. "Take me shopping." Antonio drove to a district I'd never shopped in, where stores had security guards and mannequins wore clothes without price tags because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. He parked illegally, flashed something to a passing police officer who nodded respectfully, and escorted me into a boutique that smelled like leather and money. A saleswoman descended immediately, her smile bright and practiced. "Welcome. How can I help you today?" She needs a complete professional wardrobe, Antonio said before I could speak. Interviews, business meetings, quality pieces. Charge everything to this. He handed over the black card. The woman's eyes widened slightly at whatever name was on the card. Of course. Right this way, miss. For the next 2 hours I was measured, draped, consulted, and dressed like a doll. Suits in charcoal and navy, silk blouses, wool trousers, dresses that skimmed my figure without being inappropriate. Shoes, real leather, Italian, the kind that cost more than my monthly rent used to be. A coat, cashmere, in a deep burgundy that the saleswoman insisted brought out my complexion. I stood in front of the mirror in one of the suits, perfectly tailored, making me look competent and expensive, and barely recognized myself. Beautiful, the saleswoman breathed. Your husband has excellent taste. He's not my... I stopped. What was Marchetti to me? Benefactor? Savior? Something else entirely? Thank you. The bill came to over $8,000. I felt sick watching the saleswoman ring it up, but Antonio remained impassive, signing the receipt with a flourish. Bags and boxes filled the SUV. We hit 2 more stores, one for cosmetics and toiletries, another for what the assistant called essentials, but what I recognized as designer lingerie that made my face burn. Antonio waited outside that store, at least. By the time we returned to Marchetti's estate, it was past 3. The house seemed different in daylight, less imposing, more beautiful. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed views of the winter landscape, the city beyond, the river cutting through it all like a silver ribbon. Gabriella met us at the door, directing staff I hadn't seen before to carry everything upstairs. The senior called. He'll be home by 6 for dinner. He asks that you join him. Her eyes swept over the shopping bags. Good, you needed these things. In my room, I unpacked slowly, hanging the new clothes beside my pathetic old wardrobe. The contrast was stark, my worn jeans and cheap dresses looking even shabbier next to Italian wool and French silk. I was staring at it all when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Elena? Marchetti's voice, smooth and dark. Antonio tells me the shopping was successful. You didn't have to do all that. The donation, the clothes. I did what was necessary. A pause. Sounds of traffic in the background. You'll need professional attire for the interviews I've scheduled. My heart stopped. Interviews? 3 potential positions. Tomorrow at 10, 1, and 3. All nonprofit organizations that could use someone with your experience and compassion. I've sent the details to your email. He said it so casually, as if rearranging someone's entire life was routine. Unless you'd prefer something different. No. Nonprofit is perfect. But Marchetti... Dominic. What? Call me Dominic. We're past formalities, don't you think? His tone shifted, became more intimate. After all, you're living in my home, wearing clothes I provided. It seems appropriate. The possessiveness in his voice should have alarmed me. Instead, heat pooled low in my stomach. Dominic, then. I need to understand what you expect from me in return for all this. Silence on the line. Then, carefully, what do you think I expect, Elena? I don't know. That's the problem. I twisted the phone cord. No, there was no cord. I was pacing. Men don't do this without wanting something. So what is it? What do you want? Honest answer? Please. I want to see you flourish. His voice dropped lower. I want to watch you become everything the Harrisons tried to crush out of you. I want to give you the tools and freedom to be extraordinary. A pause. And yes, I want you close, under my protection, where I can ensure no one ever discards you like garbage again. My breath caught. That sounds like possessiveness. It is. He didn't apologize for it. I told you, Elena, I collect beautiful things, but I don't cage them. I give them space to grow, to shine. All I ask is that you let me, and if I want to leave, then you leave. I won't stop you. But something in his tone suggested he didn't believe I would. The door is always unlocked. This isn't a prison. Then what is it? A sanctuary. For as long as you need it. Traffic sounds faded. He must have reached his destination. I have to go. I'll see you at dinner. Wear the blue dress. The one from the boutique on 5th. He hung up before I could respond. I found the dress. Sapphire silk that fell to just above my knees, elegant without being revealing. Of course he'd know exactly which dress, exactly which store. He seemed to know everything, control everything. But as I showered and dressed, as I dried my hair and applied the expensive makeup that actually made me look awake, I couldn't muster the fear I knew I should feel. Because for the first time in a year, someone was investing in me. Seeing potential. Believing I was worth the effort, even if his motives weren't entirely pure. I was applying lipstick when Gabriella knocked. The signor is home. He's waiting in the dining room. My hands trembled slightly as I smoothed down the dress. This felt like more than dinner. It felt like a turning point, a commitment to whatever strange arrangement we were building. I found him by the windows again, but this time he'd changed. Dark slacks, a white shirt with the collar open, revealing a glimpse of his throat. He turned when I entered, and the way his eyes traveled over me made my skin flush. "Perfect," he murmured. "Come, sit." Dinner was more elaborate than last night. Multiple courses, each paired with wine. We talked about the interviews, about my background, about my dreams for working with nonprofits. He listened intently, asked questions that showed he actually cared about the answers, but underneath the civilized conversation, tension hummed. In the way his eyes lingered on my mouth, in the way my pulse jumped when his hand brushed mine, reaching for the wine, in the way the air seemed to thicken between us. After dessert, he stood. "Walk with me." We went outside onto a terrace I hadn't seen before, overlooking the grounds. The night was cold but clear, stars visible despite the city lights. He draped his jacket over my shoulders without asking, and I was enveloped in his scent, his warmth. "Thank you," I said quietly. "For today. For everything. Don't thank me yet." He stood close, not touching but present. "Elena, I need you to understand something." "What?" He turned to face me fully. "I'm not a good man. The things I do, the world I operate in, it's not clean. It's not safe. People fear me for reasons that have nothing to do with money or social status." My throat went dry. "Are you trying to scare me away?" "I'm trying to be honest." His jaw tightened. "You walked into my life by accident, but I'm choosing to keep you here. I want you to know what that means before you go to these interviews tomorrow, before you build a new life with my help. Because once you're tied to me, even tangentially, you're in my world. Under my protection, yes, but also in my shadow." "I don't understand what you're saying." He stepped closer. "I'm saying that Dominic Marchetti isn't just a businessman. I'm saying that the people who work for me, who fear me, who obey me, they do so because I've built an empire on things that would horrify you. And I'm saying that despite all of that, I want you anyway. Here. Close. Mine." The word mine hung in the air between us. "What kind of empire?" I whispered. His smile was sharp, dangerous. "The kind that operates in shadows. The kind your Harrisons would clutch their pearls over." He touched my face then, finally, his thumb tracing my cheekbone. "But the kind that protects what's mine with absolute ruthlessness. I should run." Every instinct screamed it, but I stood frozen, caught in his dark eyes. "I'm giving you a choice, Elena. Tomorrow, you go to these interviews. You get a job. Build your independence. You can use my resources and then leave. Cut ties. Build a life far from me." His hand slid to cup my jaw. "Or you can stay. Accept my protection, my help, my attention. But know that if you stay, I won't let you go easily." "That sounds like a threat." "It's a promise." My heart hammered against my ribs. "And if I stay, what do you get?" "You. Simple, direct, devastating. In whatever capacity you're willing to give. As a project, as a protege, as..." He paused, something hungry flashing in his eyes. "As something more, if you choose." "This is insane." "Yes," he agreed, "but you're still here." He was right. I was still here. My skin burning where he touched me, my body leaning into his despite my mind's protests. Because Dominic Marchetti, dangerous as he clearly was, made me feel alive in a way I'd forgotten was possible. "I need time," I breathed. "Take it." "But Elena?" He leaned closer, his mouth near my ear. "Know that I'm a patient man when I want something. And I want you." That won't change whether you stay tomorrow or leave." He released me and stepped back, leaving me cold and aching. "Good night, Elena. Sleep well. Tomorrow is important." He walked back inside, leaving me alone on the terrace with my racing heart and impossible choice: stay in the sanctuary with the wolf, or run back into a world that had already chewed me up and spit me out. I touched my face where his hand had been, and knew I'd already made my choice. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. The first interview was at a children's literacy foundation in a renovated brownstone near the University District. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing the charcoal suit that made me look competent and expensive, my hair pulled into a professional twist. Antonio had driven me, idling outside in the black SUV like a silent guardian. The director, Margaret Chen, was a woman in her 60s with kind eyes and ink-stained fingers. She welcomed me into an office crammed with books and children's artwork, offered tea, and we talked for an hour about my experience, my vision for volunteer programs, my ideas for expanding their reach to underserved communities. "Your references are impeccable," she said, reviewing the letter from Mercy General that Linda had been forced to provide. "And Mr. Marchetti spoke very highly of you when he called." My stomach tightened. "He called you?" "Yesterday. Made a generous donation and suggested we interview you for our coordinator position." Margaret smiled warmly. "But I want you to know, the donation doesn't guarantee you the job. I hire based on merit. Your ideas about integrating literacy programs with after-school care are exactly what we need. When can you start?" I blinked. "You're offering me the position, if you want it. 25 an hour, full benefits, room for advancement. You'd be managing our volunteer network and developing new programs." She extended her hand. "What do you say?" I shook it, dazed. "Yes. Absolutely yes." Walking back to the SUV, I felt lighter than I had in months. A real job, one I'd earned through my own merit, even if Dominic had opened the door. Antonio held the car door, his stern face almost approving. "Good news, Miss Reyes?" "Very good." I slid into the warm interior, grinning. "I got the job. The senor will be pleased." The second interview was at a women's shelter, and the third at an immigrant resource center. Both went well. Both made offers, but my heart had already chosen the Literacy Foundation. Working with children, building programs that mattered, it felt right. It felt like returning to myself. I called Dominic from the car after the final interview. He answered on the first ring. "Elena, how did it go?" "I got 3 job offers." I couldn't keep the excitement from my voice. "I'm taking the position at the Chen Literacy Foundation. I start next Monday." "Excellent choice. Margaret is a good woman. She'll mentor you well." Pride colored his tone. "This calls for celebration. I'm sending a car to collect you at 7. Wear something elegant." "Dominic, you don't have to. I want to. Let me celebrate your success, Elena." Please, the please undid me. This powerful man, asking rather than commanding. "Okay. Thank you." Back at the estate, I found a box on my bed. Inside, wrapped in tissue paper, was a dress. Emerald green silk that shimmered when I lifted it. Elegant and sophisticated without being overly revealing, a note in strong, slashing handwriting. "For tonight. D." He'd known I'd succeed, had already planned to celebrate. I should have been unsettled by his presumption. Instead, warmth bloomed in my chest. Gabriella helped me with my hair, sweeping it into an elegant updo that exposed my neck and shoulders. The dress fit perfectly, hugging my curves before flowing to mid-calf. I barely recognized the woman in the mirror. Confident, beautiful, worthy. At 7 precisely, a different car arrived. A sleek black sedan with a driver I didn't recognize. He took me into the city, to a restaurant I'd only read about in magazines. The kind of place that required reservations months in advance, where celebrities dined and photographers waited outside. But we entered through a private entrance. Were escorted immediately to a secluded table on the rooftop terrace. The city sprawled below us, twinkling with light, the winter air crisp and clear under outdoor heaters that created a warm bubble of comfort. Dominic was already there, devastating in a black suit and tie, his dark hair perfectly styled. He stood when I approached, his eyes darkening as they traveled over me. "You're breathtaking," he said simply. Heat flooded my cheeks. The dress is beautiful. Thank you. The dress is just fabric. You make it beautiful. He pulled out my chair, his hand brushing my bare shoulder as I sat. The touch sent electricity down my spine. Dinner was exquisite, course after course of culinary artistry, each paired with wine that probably cost more than my old monthly salary. But I barely tasted the food. I was too aware of Dominic across from me, the intensity of his attention, the way conversation flowed between us like we'd known each other for years instead of days. We talked about everything: books, music, his childhood in Sicily, my memories of my parents. He told me about building his first business at 19, about the risks he'd taken, the enemies he'd made. He spoke in careful circles around the exact nature of his work, but the implications were clear. "You're an organized crime," I said finally, over dessert. He didn't flinch. "Among other things, I have legitimate businesses: import, export, real estate, restaurants. But yes, some of my ventures operate in gray areas." "How gray?" "Dark enough that you should be afraid of me." His eyes held mine. "But not so dark that I've lost my humanity entirely. I'm not afraid of you. You should be." He leaned forward. "I've hurt people, Elena, destroyed those who threatened what's mine. I operate by a code, but it's not one most people would recognize as moral. But you have lines you won't cross." "Yes, I don't traffic in human misery. No drugs, no prostitution, no exploitation of the vulnerable. I punish those who prey on women and children with extreme prejudice." His voice hardened. "But make no mistake, I'm not a good man playing at being bad. I'm a dangerous man who occasionally does good things. I should run." Every rational cell in my body screamed it. But I thought about the donation to the hospital, the job opportunities he'd created, the way Gabriella spoke of him with respect rather than fear, the way he'd protected me without asking for anything in return. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because I want you to stay, and you can't make that choice without knowing who I really am." He signaled for the check. "Come. There's somewhere else I want to take you." We drove through the city to a neighborhood I didn't recognize. Industrial buildings converted to lofts, art galleries with lit windows, music spilling from clubs. The car stopped in front of a nondescript door with a simple gold plaque. "Marchetti." "What is this place?" "Mine." "Come see." Inside was a jazz club, intimate, sophisticated, with a stage where a quartet played smooth, sultry music. The space was half full, well-dressed patrons nursing expensive drinks, swaying to the rhythm. Dominic led me to a private booth in the back, elevated slightly to provide a view of the entire room. A waitress appeared instantly with champagne. Dominic dismissed her with a nod and poured for both of us. "I bought this place 5 years ago," he said, settling beside me. Not across, but close enough that our legs touched. It was failing, about to be torn down. I restored it, kept the original character. It's one of the few things I own purely because I love it, not because it's profitable. It's beautiful. The music wrapped around us, intimate and seductive. "Do you come here often?" "Not as much as I'd like, but I wanted you to see it, to understand that I'm not just the shadow in danger. There's beauty in my world too, if you know where to look." He was seducing me, not with touch, though God, I wanted him to touch me, but with glimpses into his complexity. Showing me the monster and the man, letting me choose which one I believed in more. The music shifted, became slower. Couples drifted to the small dance floor. "Dance with me," Dominic said. Not a question. He led me down to the floor, pulled me into his arms with practiced ease. I'd never been a good dancer, had always felt awkward and ungainly. But with Dominic, it was effortless. He led with subtle pressure, his hand on my lower back, my hand in his, our bodies moving together like we'd done this 1,000 times. "I need to tell you something," I said against his shoulder. "Tell me." I don't know how to be in your world. I don't understand the rules, the dangers. I'm just a girl from nowhere who worked in hospitals and diners. I'm not sophisticated or connected or... Elena. He pulled back enough to look at me. "That's exactly why I want you. You're real, unaffected. You see me? Not my reputation or my money or my power. Do you know how rare that is? But I don't know if I can handle..." You're stronger than you think. His hand tightened on my waist. You survived the Harrisons trying to break you. You survived losing everything on Christmas Eve. You texted a stranger for help when you had no other options. That takes courage, Elena. Strength. Or stupidity. His laugh was low, genuine. Perhaps. But I'll take your kind of stupidity over the Harrisons' calculated cruelty any day. The song ended. Another began. We kept dancing. Stay, he murmured into my hair. Not just tonight. Not just while you get on your feet. Stay because you want to. Stay because when you're near me, you feel as alive as I do when I'm near you. My heart thundered. Dominic, I'm not asking for forever. I'm asking for now. For a chance to show you that what we could have together is worth the risks. He drew back, his dark eyes searching mine. Tell me you don't feel this pull between us. Tell me you don't wonder what it would be like to let me have you, fully and completely. Tell me. And I'll let you go. I couldn't, because I did feel it. This magnetic attraction that defied logic, that overrode every self-preservation instinct I possessed. From the moment he'd walked into that diner, something had clicked into place. Something inevitable. I feel it, I whispered. It terrifies me. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. His thumb traced my lower lip. But don't let it keep you from living, Elena. Don't let what the Harrisons did to you make you too afraid to take what you want. And if what I want is dangerous, then we'll be dangerous together. He kissed me then, soft and controlled, but with an underlying hunger that made my knees weak. His hand cupped my face, his other arm pulling me flush against him, and I melted into it. Into him. Into the promise of something fierce and consuming and entirely reckless. When he pulled back, we were both breathing hard. Come home with me, he said. Not for sex, not yet, not until you're sure, but come home. Sleep in my house. Wake up tomorrow and start your new life from there. Let me be your foundation while you rebuild. What do you get out of this? I asked, needing to understand. You. In my space, in my world, close enough to protect. His expression was almost vulnerable. I'm a possessive man, Elena. When something is mine, I guard it jealously. And whether you've accepted it yet or not, you're mine. Have been since you texted me for help. The possessiveness should have scared me. Instead, it made me feel precious, valued, wanted in a way I'd never experienced. Okay, I breathed. Take me home. The drive back was thick with tension. Dominic's hand found mine in the darkness of the car, his thumb stroking circles on my palm. Neither of us spoke. Words seemed inadequate for what was building between us. At the estate, he walked me to my door, stopped outside it, his hand on the frame, caging me in without touching me. Good night, Elena, he said softly. Tomorrow you start your new job, your new life, but know that every night you'll come back here, to me, until you don't want to anymore. And if I never stop wanting to? His smile was slow, predatory. Then I'll have exactly what I want. He kissed my forehead, chaste, controlled, and walked away before I could pull him inside. I entered my room, locked the door, and leaned against it, my heart racing. Through the window I could see the city lights, the same view I'd had for 2 nights now, but everything felt different. I was different. The girl the Harrisons had thrown away was gone. In her place was someone stronger, someone who'd caught the attention of a dangerous man and decided to stay anyway. Someone who was choosing her own path, even if that path led into shadows. My phone buzzed. Dominic. Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow your real life begins, and I'll be there to watch you soar. I typed back, thank you. For everything. For seeing me. His response came immediately. I'll always see you. Every part of you. Even the parts you try to hide, especially those. Good night, tesoro mio, my treasure. I fell asleep with my phone clutched to my chest, a smile on my face, and for the first time since my parents died, the feeling that I belonged somewhere, even if that somewhere was in the orbit of a beautiful monster who decided I was worth keeping. The next 3 weeks blurred into a routine that felt surreal in its normalcy. I woke each morning in silk sheets, had coffee with Gabriella, and Antonio drove me to the Literacy Foundation, where I threw myself into work with a passion I'd forgotten I possessed. The children loved me. Margaret praised my innovative programs. I was building something real, something mine. And every evening, I came home to Dominic. Not home to his house, home to him. Because that's what it had become. He'd text throughout the day, asking about work, sharing pieces of his own mysterious business dealings. We'd have dinner together when his schedule allowed, talking for hours about everything and nothing. He never pushed for more than I was ready to give, but the tension between us grew thicker each day, until everything shattered on a cold Tuesday in mid-January. I was reviewing volunteer applications in my office when my phone rang. Unknown number. Elena Reyes. A woman's voice, cultured and cold. Yes? This is Diana Harrison. We need to talk. My blood turned to ice. I have nothing to say to you. Even if it concerns Marcus, he's in trouble, Elena. Serious trouble. And you're the only one who can help him. I should have hung up. Should have blocked the number and forgotten the Harrisons existed. But something in Diana's voice, actual fear, not her usual condescension, made me pause. What kind of trouble? Not over the phone. Meet me at Café Noir in 1 hour. Please, Elena. I'm begging you. She hung up before I could respond. I stared at my phone, conflicting emotions warring inside me. Marcus had let his mother throw me out without a fight. Had watched me pack my life into a suitcase and said nothing. I owed him nothing. But curiosity and some stupid, lingering attachment made me agree. I texted Dominic. Diana Harrison just called. She wants to meet. Says Marcus is in trouble. I'm going to hear her out. His response was immediate. No, don't go alone. I'm sending Antonio. I need to do this myself. Elena, if the Harrisons are involved, it's dangerous. Wait for me. I'll be there in 20 minutes. But I was already grabbing my coat, already walking out. I needed to do this on my own terms. Needed to prove I wasn't the helpless girl they'd discarded. I texted back. I'll be fine. It's a public cafe. I'll call you after. Café Noir was in a trendy neighborhood, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Diana sat in a back corner booth, looking diminished somehow. Her usual armor of designer clothes and pearls seemed like a costume now. Her face was drawn, makeup unable to hide the exhaustion. I slid into the booth across from her. You have 5 minutes. Thank you for coming. She clasped her hands on the table. They trembled slightly. I know we treated you abominably. I know you have every right to hate us. But Marcus is in danger, and you're the only one who might be able to help. What happened? He got involved with the wrong people. Gambling debts. He owes $200,000 to, she paused, her voice dropping, to very dangerous men. They've given him 1 week to pay, or they've made threats, Elena. Terrible threats. Despite myself, concern flickered. Marcus was weak, not evil. Go to the police. We can't. These men, they have connections. And Marcus, her voice broke. He's my son. My only child. Please, I know Dominic Marchetti has been helping you. Everyone knows. He's powerful, connected. If you asked him, if you explained... Understanding crashed over me like cold water. You want me to ask Dominic to make Marcus's debt disappear. Or to negotiate. Or to scare these men into backing off. I don't know, tears spilled down her perfectly made-up face. Please, Elena, I'm begging you. I'll do anything. I'll apologize publicly. I'll give you money. Stop. I held up my hand. You threw me out like trash, Diana. You treated me like I was worthless, like I was contaminating your precious family. And now you want me to use my connection to save Marcus? I know how it sounds, but he's my son. Her voice cracked completely. Please. You have a kind heart, Elena. It's why Marcus fell for you in the first place. Don't let my cruelty turn you into someone who lets an innocent man suffer, innocent. Marcus, who'd stood silent while his mother eviscerated me, who'd never defended me, never fought for me, but who'd also never been deliberately cruel, just weak. I'll think about it, I heard myself say, but I'm not promising anything. Diana's relief was palpable. Thank you. Thank you so much. Can I give you the details? The names of... No, if I decide to help, I'll contact you. I stood. And Diana? This doesn't mean I forgive you, or that we're suddenly family. This is me being a decent human being, which is more than you were to me. I walked out into the cold afternoon, my phone already ringing. Dominic. Where are you? His voice was tight with controlled anger. Leaving the cafe. I'm fine, Dominic. It was just Diana being... Don't move, I'm 2 minutes away. The black SUV pulled up before I could argue. The door opened and Dominic emerged, his face thunderous. He crossed to me in 3 strides, his hands gripping my arms. You don't go off alone when the Harrisons are involved, he said through clenched teeth. You don't make yourself vulnerable without protection. Do you understand? I'm not a child. No, you're mine, and people who are mine don't take unnecessary risks. His eyes blazed. Get in the car. Now. The command in his voice sent shivers down my spine. Part fear, part something else. I got in. He slid in beside me, immediately pulling me against him, his arms tight around me like he needed to confirm I was whole. Tell me everything, he demanded. So I did. Diana's plea, Marcus's gambling debts, the dangerous men demanding payment. Dominic listened without interrupting, his jaw tightening with each detail. And you told her what? He asked when I finished. That I'd think about it. I pulled back to look at him. I know I should just refuse. They don't deserve my help. But Dominic... Marcus wasn't cruel like his mother. He was just... weak, and the idea of him being hurt because of gambling debts stops now. Dominic's voice was steel. You're not getting involved in this, Elena. It's my choice. No, he cupped my face, forcing me to meet his eyes. Listen to me carefully. The men Marcus owes money to? I know who they are. They're Lenardi's crew. Small-time thugs trying to build a reputation by targeting weak marks like your ex. And if you get involved, if you ask me to intervene, you're putting yourself directly in the middle of a territorial dispute that could turn violent. My stomach clenched. I didn't know... Because you don't know this world. But I do. And I'm telling you, walk away. Let the Harrisons solve their own problems. His thumb stroked my cheek. You owe them nothing, tesoro mio. They threw you away. Why would you risk yourself for them? Because maybe I'm not like them, I whispered. Maybe I don't want to become someone who lets people suffer when I could help. Something shifted in his expression. Pride, maybe. Or resignation. You're going to ask me to help them anyway, aren't you? I don't know. Maybe. I searched his face. Would you? If I asked? He was silent for a long moment, studying me with those dark, penetrating eyes. Finally, if you ask me to protect Marcus Harrison, I will. Not because he deserves it, but because you asked. Because your compassion, even toward those who hurt you, is part of what makes you extraordinary. His voice hardened. But understand the cost, Elena. If I intervene, there will be consequences. Leonardi will see it as me protecting what's mine, which means you'll be publicly marked as under my protection. Everyone in my world will know you belong to me. My heart hammered. And that's bad because it makes you a target, a way to get to me. It means you can never go back to being anonymous, to being safe in your normal life. He leaned closer. Once you're known as Dominic Marchetti's woman, everything changes. Your safety, your freedom, your choices, all of it becomes tied to me. Are you ready for that? Was I? Could I accept being pulled fully into his dangerous world, marked as his, protected but also potentially endangered by association? I thought about Marcus, weak and foolish but not evil. About Diana, cruel but broken with maternal fear. About the girl I'd been before the Harrisons, kind, compassionate, someone who helped because it was right. Yes, I said firmly. Help him. Please. Not because they deserve it, but because it's the right thing to do. Dominic's smile was slow, dangerous, and somehow proud. Then it's done. He pulled out his phone, dialed. Spoke rapid Italian to whoever answered, his tone commanding. The conversation lasted less than 2 minutes. Leonardi will forgive the debt by tomorrow morning, he said, pocketing the phone. Marcus will receive a visit explaining that the matter is settled due to my interest in his former fiancée. The Harrisons will know they owe their son's safety to the woman they discarded. Just like that? Just like that. Because in my world, Elena, my word is law. He pulled me closer. And because I would do anything you asked, even protect people I'd rather see suffer. The weight of that statement settled over me. The power I suddenly held, the influence, but also the responsibility, the danger. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet. His hand slid into my hair, tilting my head back. Because now everyone knows. You're mine, Elena Reyes. Publicly, undeniably mine. And I don't share. I don't let go. I protect what's mine with everything I have. But I also claim it completely. Can you live with that? Could I? Could I accept this possessive, dangerous man's protection and claim on me? Could I thrive in his shadow while building my own light? I thought about the past 3 weeks. The job I loved, the confidence I'd regained, the way Dominic looked at me like I was precious and powerful simultaneously, the way I felt alive for the first time in years. Yes, I breathed. I can live with that. He kissed me then, not gentle like before, but claiming, consuming. His mouth devoured mine, his hands possessive on my body, and I kissed him back with equal fervor. All the tension of the past weeks exploded into this moment, this surrender, this mutual claiming. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, his eyes were black with want. Tonight, he growled. No more waiting. Tonight you're mine completely. Heat pooled low in my belly. Yes. The drive back to the estate was charged with anticipation. Dominic's hand stayed on my thigh, possessive and promising. When we arrived, he dismissed the staff with a terse command, took my hand, and led me upstairs. Not to my room, to his. His bedroom was masculine, sophisticated. Dark colors, expensive furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. But I barely noticed the decor. I only saw him, stripping off his jacket and tie with deliberate movements, his eyes never leaving mine. Last chance, Elena, he said softly. Once we cross this line, there's no going back. You'll be mine in every way. Are you sure? I answered by crossing to him, reaching up to unbutton his shirt with trembling fingers. I'm sure. What happened next was a blur of sensation. His hands, his mouth, the way he worshipped every inch of me like I was sacred, the way he made me feel powerful and vulnerable simultaneously, claimed and cherished. The way we came together with an intensity that bordered on violent, both of us desperate and demanding and absolutely certain. Afterward, wrapped in his arms in his massive bed, the city lights glittering through the windows, I felt complete. Like all the broken pieces the Harrisons had shattered had been reformed into something stronger, more beautiful. I love you, Dominic murmured into my hair. I know it's too soon. I know it's intense. But I need you to know. This isn't just protection or possession. I love you, Elena Reyes. Your strength, your compassion, your refusal to become bitter despite everything. I love you. Tears pricked my eyes. I love you too. God help me, I do. His arms tightened. Then stay. Not as a guest, not as a temporary arrangement. Stay as my partner, my equal, your what? He pulled back to look at me, his expression vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. My wife. Eventually. When you're ready. Build your life here, with me. Let me protect you while you shine. Let me love you while you love the world. It should have been too much, too fast. But it felt inevitable, like everything had been leading to this moment since I'd sent that desperate text on Christmas Eve. Okay, I whispered. I'll stay. His smile was brilliant, transforming his dangerous face into something almost boyish. Then tomorrow we make it official. I'll have papers drawn up, protection put in place. You'll be untouchable, Elena. Mine to protect, mine to love, mine to cherish, I suggested, laughing through tears. Worship, he corrected, and kissed me again. 3 months later, I stood in the Literacy Foundation's new wing, funded by an anonymous donation that Margaret didn't need to know came from my fiancé. Watching children stream through for our after-school program, my program, the one I'd built from nothing. My ring caught the light, a simple platinum band with a single perfect diamond, not ostentatious, but unmistakably expensive, a claim and a promise. My phone buzzed. Dominic, dinner at home tonight? I have a surprise for you. Me. What kind of surprise? Him. The kind that involves you, me, and the new house I just bought in Tuscany for our honeymoon. Come home soon, tesoro mio. I'm impatient. I smiled, warmth flooding through me. Home. Not his house. Not my temporary refuge. Home. Margaret poked her head in. Elena, the mayor's office called. They want you to speak at the Literacy Summit next month about our program's success. Really? Pride swelled in my chest. Really? You've done amazing work here. We're lucky to have you. She paused. I heard through the grapevine that you're getting married. Congratulations. Thank you. I touched the ring. It's unconventional, but it works for us. The best relationships usually are. Margaret smiled knowingly. Just remember, you're not defined by who you're marrying. You're Elena Reyes, brilliant coordinator, child advocate, and force of nature. Don't lose that in anyone's shadow. I won't, I promised. And meant it. Because Dominic didn't want me in his shadow. He wanted me beside him, shining my own light while he protected the space for me to do so. It was complicated, dangerous, and absolutely unconventional. But it was ours. That evening, I came home to rose petals leading from the front door to the dining room, where Dominic waited with champagne and plans for our future. We talked about the Tuscany house, about expanding my programs internationally, about the family we might have someday. Later, in bed, his arms around me and the city glittering below, I thought about the girl who'd sat crying in a taxi on Christmas Eve, lost, discarded, alone. She seemed like a different person now, someone from another life, because I wasn't that broken girl anymore. I was Elena Marchetti to be. I ran literacy programs that changed children's lives. I was loved by a dangerous man who'd kill for me, but also encouraged me to be extraordinary. I had a home, a future, a purpose. The Harrisons had thrown me away thinking I was worthless. They'd been wrong. I'd landed in the arms of a monster who saw my value and guarded it jealously. And in doing so, I'd found myself again, stronger, fiercer, more whole than I'd ever been. What are you thinking? Dominic murmured sleepily. That I'm grateful, I whispered. For the wrong number. For you coming to save me. For everything. He kissed my temple. I didn't save you, tesoro. You saved yourself. I just gave you the space to do it. Maybe he was right. Maybe I had saved myself, with his resources and protection as tools rather than crutches. Either way, the girl who'd been kicked out on Christmas had become a woman who'd built an empire of her own, not of money or power, but of purpose and love and absolute certainty that she belonged exactly where she was, in the arms of a beautiful monster who'd chosen to be her sanctuary, and who she'd chosen to make her home.